Hey guys, I really wanted to go to the bins today, and I don't need to go to the bins, but like I just really wanted to. So I'm going to tell you how I justified, oh yikes, my hair was just up in a bin because I was photographing clothes. So this is how I justified going to the bins today. I can go if I take kids' clothes to buy, sell, trade first, and don't worry, I'm just backing out to my back door. And if I film it and post it this Friday. So I'm gonna film short little bins, thrift with me / take kids clothes to buy, sell, trade, and it is the video you guys are seeing this Friday. I was feeling kind of lazy and it's like, I really don't want to post a YouTube video this Friday, but I can go to the bins for like an hour if I film it and post it. Okay, grab 2 totes full of kid stuff that came from the bins that I take to Once Upon a Child to get cash for. Unfortunately, the Once Upon a Child closest to my house closed around COVID, so I have to drive like a half hour away now, but the bins is about a half hour away. The new bins, if you have not seen any of my new bins content, you might not know. In Romeoville, Illinois, they opened up a Goodwill Outlet, and that is much closer to my house than the one up in Wisconsin, so I can go more frequently now, which is a problem because now I just get the urge and I'm like, I can go. So I'm thinking that if I take these clothes, it's somewhat close to the bins, so it's like 2 birds with 1 stone. So let's head over to Once Upon a Child to sell some kids' clothes. I grab stuff at the bins to sell to Once Upon a Child. It has to be in like really good condition. If it has a even tiny stain, I throw it back. And even then, the perfect condition stuff, I take them, they reject a lot of it. I don't know why, but I often get like $70 every time I go in. So I'm good with my $70 cash win. For the stuff they take, I paid like $15. We made it. I'm not planning on staying too long. I need to exercise some self-control and only stay here for like an hour or until the kids' clothes are done. Heading into the Romeoville, Illinois Goodwill Outlet, and this day there were a lot of young adult resellers, I'm assuming, and I don't normally see that. I'm guessing they're like Depop and vintage sellers. So the first thing I did was head over to this first bin, which I believe is a throwback bin. People just throw back all their rejects there, and I happen to like people's throwbacks. I find good stuff. So the very first thing I found was this DB Celebrate, I think the tag was, which is David's Bridal Bridesmaid dress line, and I did grab that at the bins. They don't sell amazing, but you know, we're going into wedding season, so I figured I would give it a try for like $1 and some change. That was a vintage piece. I don't know if I'm gonna list that myself or try to buy sell trade first. Probably at buy sell trade and see if they accept it, and if they don't, I'll list it. These are some kids 7 for All Mankind jeans, and I don't know if these have resale value. If they were someone's throwback, I'm gonna assume not, but I'll check to see if I can get like $15 for them. And if I can't, I will just take those over to Once Upon a Child on a different day. And I saw this print, it looked really interesting, so I pulled it out, and I had a feeling when I saw that little tag. Yes, Victoria's Secret gold label, which I have found before. I haven't found in a long time. I have no idea on the comps on this piece. I would hope high. It's a beautiful robe. I don't think it was silk. I don't remember. It was missing the belt, but look, there it is right there. I totally missed it, but don't worry, I do find the belt in a few minutes. So I have a whole vintage Victoria's Secret robe and a belt. This was a kid Zara dress, and I thought about grabbing it, but that hem was just all messed up. I don't know if it was supposed to be a raw hem, but I wouldn't sell that piece myself because it was an older piece, and I don't know if buy sell trade would buy it. So I found this Club Monaco cardigan. It was an older style, but I did decide to grab it because it was an alpaca wool but alpaca wool blend. I don't have a lot of experience selling Club Monaco, but it is a higher retail brand. It does need a sweater shave, this specific piece, so I will do that for a minute and hopefully get $20 to $25. But again, it is an older style. This is just a vintage blazer, and I found this scarf, and I did find a few scarves this day that felt really nice, but I could not find any tags on them, which is a bummer because if there's no branding, you definitely need a tag to tell you that brand and fabric content. And so yeah, cutout tag, which was a bummer. I'm just pulling out random stuff. I'm not going through this bin like I probably should be going through it. This is a Style & Go 2X dress, and I did decide to grab this and try it at Buy Sell Trade. Maybe I'll honestly look up comps and see if plus size Style & Co dresses are selling for like 15 to 20. Oh, there's the belt. I'm like, thank God. I found this belt. Awesome. And I was actually first like, is it the right belt? Like, does that match? But I didn't care. I'm 90% sure it's the belt that came with it, but I was like, it matches enough. Old Navy stained dress. Those are just some kids' Target bottoms. If you're wondering, I don't pick up pajama set separates to take to Once Upon a Child. I just don't think, I feel like I have in the past and they reject them. If I find a pajama set and it's clearly a pajama set, I won't pick it up unless I have both pieces. I pulled this blanket out of the bin, and I do like to look up blanket brands when I find them in the bins. The blankets, I mean, depending on how heavy, cost a few bucks, but I did find a blanket that retailed for like $150 in Michigan, so that was great. I actually kept that for myself. Anyway, this blanket didn't seem to be worth a whole lot, and it's heavier than the blankets I grabbed for the animal shelter. If you didn't know, I grab blankets at the bins to take to my local animal shelter I volunteer at. This is a terrible clip, but I was just trying to show you the pants on this Y2K girly. She was dressed so TikTok, Instagram, I don't use TikTok, so Instagram real Y2K trendy. I love grabbing bras at the bins, and I came across these two Victoria's Secret bras. I grabbed both of them. The pink one I was contemplating on because it was a 32A, but I grabbed it. In general, Victoria's Secret bras sell between like $12 and $20, so if that's not the type of flip you're looking for, I'd recommend staying away from them, but they're so lightweight at the bins, I don't mind grabbing them. I am no longer in the throwback bin at the front of the store. I just wandered and picked a random bin and started pulling stuff out. And so here I found a pair of New With Tags Children Place jeans, and so I grabbed those for Once Upon a Child. I think they will be very happy to purchase those from me one day. And if you're wondering, I sell very few kids brands myself. I stick to Janie and Jack sometimes, Minnie Bowden, Hannah Anderson sometimes. It really all depends on the piece and if I really like it. I saw a TNA label, which TNA is an Aritzia brand, sticking out, and I was like, please don't be stained, please don't be stained. And they were a pair of stained sweatpants. They're size small, and I'm typically a medium, but I decided to grab them for myself because most of the sweatpants I own are stained anyway because I just live in them and wear them around the house. I saw a vintage tag and decided to pull it out. I check most vintage pieces. I don't sell a whole lot of vintage myself, but I do like to take it to Crossroads and Buffalo Exchange. This seemed like a 90s dark floral dress, and I thought, hey, maybe Buffalo Exchange or Crossroads will take it. So I recently have been passing on a lot of onesies because they're so cheap. Like Once Upon a Child prices them at $1 to $1.50, which means I'm not getting much for them. They are very lightweight, but just like, unless they're crazy cute, I'm really just passing on the onesies, even in excellent condition. I pulled out this sweater hoping it was from a good brand, and it was from the brand Tahari, which is often sold at like TJ Maxx and Marshalls. I mean, it is like supposed to be a higher retail brand like Ellie Tahari, but I usually stay away from it. However, I thought it was a cute style. We're still in winter, so I decided to pick it up and give it a try, and hopefully I can get like $20 for it. I'm still experimenting and trying to figure out what Y2K styles Buffalo Exchange and Crossroads are buying. This jacket, probably from like 2005, was in good condition. I don't know if that is trendy and something they want to buy or not, but I figured I would give it a try and learn. If they don't buy it, then I know not to pick up that style. This Cat and Jack shirt was so adorable. Oh, it's not a shirt, it's a onesie. Okay, so onesie, but also for a bigger kid. So I definitely stay away from like newborn onesies unless they're adorable, fantastic, but that was like an 18-month, which is slightly bigger. I believe I've picked up this brand before. It's like a UPF protective kids hat. I don't remember if I sold it myself or like took it to Once Upon a Child. That will probably just go to Once Upon a Child unless I can get like $15 for it. More Style & Co. Again, I usually pass on Style & Co. This brand, for some reason, I thought it might be something. Velocity. It's not something, so I threw that back. This, I was like, this is interesting. What is it? It's a James Charles sweatshirt, and we don't support James Charles, so left that behind. I was contemplating this pair of Gap Kids jeans because the knees just had some slight fading on them, but other than that, they were in really good condition, and they're a bigger kid size, and I feel like they get less bigger kid sizes in than like 2T and under, so I did grab those ones. Okay, here was an interesting find. So I saw, not this, past that. I saw an Eileen Fisher tag sticking out and I was like, no way, Eileen Fisher in the bins, that's awesome. And then I pulled it out and it's these interesting hand arm cuff things, but they're 100% wool and they're in the bins, and I'll quickly sweater shape them and look up comps, but they're Eileen Fisher and they're wool. I found some jewelry in the bins, which very rarely happens. Goodwill like sorts out their jewelry. That I could tell was cheap, but then I pulled out this bag and it was a Kate Spade bag, so I got my hopes up. Unfortunately, there was nothing in there, but it was still interesting to dump it out and look. And I don't know much about jewelry, but I could just tell that was all cheap tarnishing jewelry. If you think I missed something, feel free to leave it in the comments down below, but I really think it was like all Forever 21 type stuff. I did, however, put it back in that Kate Spade bag in case somebody was happy to come across lesser quality jewelry. It was like definitely a hodgepodge of stuff. Oh, and there was the other pack of earrings. It was from Five Below, so you know, that kind of confirmed my suspicions of low quality jewelry. So I found this Fashion Nova dress. I'll pick Fashion Nova up sometimes, and I was considering this one, but I think it actually had a smoke smell to it, so I did leave that behind, and I continued on with my digging to pull out a Max Azria dress, and I'm looking for the tag here. And I was like, okay, not the best brand in the world, but I have had some luck with some of their pieces in the past. I was looking it over because I was considering getting it since it was a maxi dress, but the armpits had some discoloration and then I found a staining on the front of the skirt, so I did leave that behind. Here's a child's piece, pulled it out, decided to check it over, see if I could sell it, and there was a nice big stain on the front, so left that one behind. Here's another kid's piece, and here's what I'm talking about. So this was a very nice white clean shirt, but there seemed to be like even just a slight dirt mark, and it was from Children's Place, but just because it was a slight dirt mark, I did toss that one back. So I want it to be in pristine condition if I'm taking it to Once Upon a Child. I loved the style of that Carter's onesie, so I threw it in there, and that's what I'm talking about, some super cute onesies that I will actually grab. The Target brand Cat and Jack makes the cutest kids clothes. Those dinosaur pants were no exception, so of course I grabbed those for Once Upon a Child, and this piece is an exciting piece to find. However, this was highly flawed. It is baby boated. They also make mini Bowden, and they also make adult women's Bowden. I love selling all Bowden, and I found a bunch of pieces that we will see in the next few minutes, but they were all heavily flawed, which is such a bummer. This is a maternity brand I've had luck selling in the past, Isabella Oliver, and it is a size 4, and they do like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 sizing. So I'm assuming this is like a large or an extra large. It had a spot on the front, but I think that will just come out in the wash. And this is when I realized I was in a spot of like kids and maternity wear, which was interesting. It must have been like, none of it was priced, so maybe Goodwill rejects. This was a totally ruined, misguided jumpsuit, and this was probably a Shein blouse. Coming up here is a Victoria's Secret pajama top. And I do actually sell Victoria's Secret PJ separates. They don't sell for a lot, but I could probably get like $12 for this top. Again, it's like not a lot. It's not worth a lot of people's time, but I like selling it. I mean, Victoria's Secret has a pretty good following, and that is obviously a Christmas top, but it will still sell year round. I probably spent at least 15 minutes digging in this one spot in the bins, and I saw this print and I knew it was Baby Bowden. And I pulled it out and I could tell it was from the same person because it had a lot of wash wear, but luckily that was the only thing, was just like wash wear. There was no other flaws, and I loved the print, so I decided to grab it. I probably can't get that much for it, but it makes me happy. And this also was the same dress that I showed you earlier, so I went back and looked at it. I'm like, is there any way I could sell it? And it was just too heavily flawed. So I did keep searching in this one spot, hoping to come across more Baby Bowden. This is not Baby Bowden, but it is a Baby Gap onesie that is adorable, so I threw it in my cart for Once Upon a Child. I'm pretty sure Once Upon a Child just called me, but we're gonna stick around a little longer. If you saw that print and guessed Baby Bowden, you would be correct, but as you just saw, another very heavily flawed piece. Now, I think if I had a kid, I would still be grabbing these pieces to put my kid in because kids destroy their clothes, obviously. But I don't have a kid and I can't resell that, and Once Upon a Child doesn't want it because it's heavily flawed, so I had to leave it behind. This is Ava and Viv. Never sold Ava and Viv and didn't think that piece was cute enough to sell. Oh my gosh, that thing that I just pushed past, I end up grabbing. You'll see in a second. I thought potentially this is Baby Bowden, but it's actually the brand Kissy Kissy, which does have some resale value. So I'm going to look it up and see how it's doing and see whether I want to sell it or take it to Once Upon a Child. This might not be the most exciting bin for you guys to watch me sift through, but I do like grabbing these kids' clothes to take to Once Upon a Child. And here is the dress I was talking about, the one that I threw past me. But this is a good maternity brand. Is it Seraphine? That might be how you say it. Now, I wouldn't pay up for it, but I've had luck selling it like $28 to $35. I have a couple pieces sitting right now, but they haven't been listed too long, so I was definitely glad to find that piece in the bin. I decided to grab this Children's Place shirt for Once Upon a Child. Now, when I was growing up, Children's Place was always like the fancy expensive brand that like our grandma got us clothes at, and you know, we got like Old Navy and Target clothes. But I don't actually know, is it actually a nice brand? Because now I know the nice brands are like Hannah Anderson and Minnie Bowden and gosh, Janie and Jack. We did not wear those when I was little. Now here is, as we're talking about it, a Hannah Anderson vest. Now this is something I will be selling myself. It is a child's puffer vest, and hopefully I can get like $15 to $20 for that, but I will check comps and see what it's going for. Kids sleep sacks are usually worth something, and that's what that is, but it was stained, so I didn't even look it up. But if it was in good condition, I would have checked the brand to see if it had any resale value, because that one was very heavy. But even ones that like are lightweight ones, I've sold for like $20 for like a piece of fabric. Now coming up here is more heartbreak for me. It is more ruined Baby Bowden. So these weren't like ruined, they just had the knees worn out, but this dress was stained, washwear. It was so sad. I would have loved to grab those. This dress I grabbed, I thought it was cute, like not my style baby clothes, but I figured Once Upon a Child would buy that. And I am coming to an end here. Oh, that was a Fashion Nova Halloween costume I left behind because I couldn't tell what it was. Maybe it was supposed to be Velma, I don't know. But they're getting ready to do a shoe rotation, and this is when people go crazy, just like at your bins, I'm sure.
Guys, go! Go!
The employee that you guys just heard yelling was having a total power trip. He was yelling at customers, telling them he could kick them out and he could ban them if they didn't behave. And from what I saw, everybody was being pretty respectful of the rules and waiting for the bins to rotate. These are all new employees because this location just opened like 2 months ago. But then I heard him talking to his employee buddies later, and he's like, yeah guys, they told me I can just like kick people out, I can just ban people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not the type of person that needs to have power. Luckily, he did not get to ban anyone that day because everybody was behaving, and of course, the one bins location where people usually behave is the one where there's an employee who is ready to ban people, because I know some of your bins get crazy, and I'm sure people don't get banned there. Now, coming up here is in a hard goods bin. It's like a vintage decoration, and those are worth money, right? Like, I don't know what these are called, but I probably would have grabbed it if it wasn't broken, because I don't know if they're worth anything if you glue back together, but I'm pretty sure those have resale value. I can't believe nobody grabbed this Coach backpack. I'm pretty sure it's authentic. I didn't do like a lot of investigating, but everything looked good to me. And I believe that's from the Coach Poppy line. And I know things from that Poppy line can do very well. I was curious what this was because Goodwill had it priced at $15 and it was all stained, but I did not recognize the brand. And I do not find any more good pieces. Is that a good brand? Relic? I probably should have looked that up, but I wanted to get back to the shoes. I found the match to one of my singles, but unfortunately the match was flawed. So I actually did end up passing those along to a guy who was looking for sneakers, along with a few other pair of sneakers I just wasn't crazy about. So I think he was thankful for that, and I got some maybe good bins karma. That flip-flop was not worth anything, so I threw those back, and here are just some of the shoes I got in my cart full of shoes. This is probably about 15 minutes after the shoes rotated, so a lot of people have cleared out and people are starting to throw back things they don't want or their singles. So here's a Converse I found. It was priced at $10 originally at Goodwill, but it was just a single. Luckily, I found all of my singles for the day except maybe one, and I can't even remember if I had a single to throw back. I do think I did. I can't remember what it was. When we see it in the footage, I will remember that I didn't find its mate. But I was pretty lucky finding all but one of the shoes, all the singles that I had for the day. Pretty much anytime I go to the bins, I find a pair of Minnetonka moccasins, and obviously today was no different. I don't have much luck selling them anymore, so I often pass on them. and I guess I passed on those ones as well. I just think it's funny there are so many in my area because I've literally never seen anyone wearing a pair of Minnetonkas. Here is a pair of Vans, and I could not tell if something was wrong with them or not, if they were supposed to be like bleached like that or if something happened, but they were pretty clean otherwise. So I put those in my cart to think about it, but I was buying so many shoes. That is another pair of sneakers that I ended up passing along to the guy who was buying like all the sneakers. I didn't want them and I knew that's what he was looking for, so I passed them along to him so they didn't end up in a landfill. Now here is a Bourne shoe. Hopefully I pick it up and show you guys. Oh, that's a Sperry. I did actually end up finding the mate to this Sperry, which is nice. And oh, that's another brand. There are so many Sperrys in my bins. Like every time I find at least 8 pairs of Sperrys no matter the bins trip, and Sperrys just don't sell that well, but those seemed like a more substantial piece, so I decided to try them out. These were somebody's throwback in a hard goods bin and I could tell what they were, so I started filming. They're Aquatalia boots. So if you guys did not know, these are definitely like $300 to $400 retail boots. Resale isn't that great, but I have a feeling with the condition they're in, I can still get $80. There were a few other throwbacks in the hard goods bins, and I'm assuming they belong to the same person, so I decided to check them out because if you throw back Aquatalia boots, you gotta see what else they're throwing back. They threw back this cardigan that was a wool blend, and this purse. This is a great brand. I think it's German. It's not in the best condition, but I have a feeling I could still get $30, $35 for it. And I actually just checked Aquatalia, not comps, but like what their retail is, and I actually think these probably retailed anywhere from $400 to slightly over $500. So here's the Bourne boot I was referencing earlier. Luckily, I did find the match to that. I like selling Bourne, especially the funky styles. Their boots do really well as well. Here's a pair of Sam Edelman flats. I still sell Sam Edelman, but that was definitely an older style, and actually I passed on a few older style Sam Edelman pieces today. Oh, they're doing another rotation. However, I did not go over because I was still in the shoe bins, guys. If you watch any of my videos, you would know shoes are my favorite. Oh, I gave the guy these Air Forces as well, and he seemed happy to have those. Are Air Force shoes still trendy? They still, oh, that's me talking to him right now, so I turned off the camera. But do they still sell well? I don't know. I grabbed this pair of kids shoes from a brand I've never heard of before. It is called Pediped. Anyway, I found a few more shoes from this brand, but the rest were in pretty rough condition, so I only grabbed those ones. I do like selling kid shoes, especially from the bins. Pretty much actually only from the bins, because most of the time that's the only place I can get them cheap enough to make it worth it. I grabbed these Cat and Jack water shoes for Once Upon a Child. I don't love taking shoes to Once Upon a Child because I often forget to check for sizes and they won't buy shoes without a size. I've had multiple pair of shoes where they literally zip tie them together, they're ready to bring them in, and they go to enter the size in their system to get the price, and they don't take them because there's no size, so then they just give them back to me zip tied together, and I can't do anything with them because they're generally a pair of Cat and Jack shoes with no size, so I have to donate them to a homeless shelter, which is not a bad thing, but I don't also want to be spending a lot of money on kid shoes they don't accept. Also, shoes weigh a little bit more, and you still don't get paid a whole lot for things at Once Upon a Child, so I prefer to stick to the lightweight things. As you can see now, the shoes are pretty much empty. It's probably like 40 minutes after the rotation, and I'm still there finding things. These were really nice H&M boots. I would have loved to bring them home with me, but I found one black one and one brown one, as you can see here, but I never found the mates to them. I also didn't look very hard, but since they were just H&M, I didn't look very hard. Here I am sorting my cart. I pulled an empty cart over to empty out my cart into the full cart while sorting. It just made things a lot easier since I had a cart full of shoes. I am trying to be pickier than normal because I have a lot of shoes at home that need to be cleaned and listed. Those are a pair of Urban Outfitters boots. Those are Corso Como boots. I don't have much luck with this brand, but I've never tried their boots and they were in really nice condition. And they retail for so much. They're sold at like Nordstrom. So I decided to grab those. Those were Madewell boots. They were pretty beat up, but they're still Madewell boots at the bins. I probably paid $1.50. I remember now, I actually threw back 3 singles, 2 pairs of Clarks, and 1 Allbird. I wasn't too heartbroken about the Allbirds because, as we know, they're not doing as well as they used to, but I do like selling Clarks, and those were actually really nice Clarks. I scoured those shoe bins and grabbed pretty much everything I wanted out of there. But I was not done shopping, even though I should have been, so I went back to the clothes. This Carter's one piece was cute, but it was broken. Here was another Victoria's Secret bra. This one is definitely more substantial, so hopefully I can get a few more dollars out of that than just a plain old bra. Here are two bags I actually grabbed. I believe they are somebody's throwback because they were in a clothing bin, and I did not know what this brand was. I just grabbed it because it looked like nice leather, and when I opened it up, it was We The Free. This bag here was also a surprise to me. I just grabbed them because they were leather. It looks like it may be flawed, but I opened it up and saw it was Madewell, and Madewell bags have historically done well for me, so hopefully I can make that one look nice. This was also, I believe, somebody's throwback. It is a Juicy Couture bag. This definitely looks more like a Y2K one. The handles have seen better days, but I'm going to try and make them look as good as possible and see what comps are on that bag. I hope high. At this point, I really need to get going, less so because of time and more so I am just buying way more stuff than I initially set out to, and I don't need that much stuff, but I cannot pull myself away. Guys, this is what my clothing cart is looking like. I still have an entire cart full of shoes. So here is the last little clip of me digging for the day. I was just walking past a bin and recognized the label of these jeans, Universal Standard. Now I'm assuming they were someone's throwback because of that spot there. Also, the butt had some pilling, but I will take my sweater shaver to the butt and make those look nicer. Goodwill wanted $5 for them, which is actually not a bad price for Goodwill. That is like what prices used to be at, and now they want like $8 for all the jeans. This is a good bra brand, sold at Nordstrom. Felina? Yeah, I don't know. It was totally missing the straps, which was weird, and it wasn't like a removable strap bra, so threw that back. Here's a cute Cat and Jack sweater. I left this one behind though because it was pilled, and I don't do any work to the kids' clothes that I take to Once Upon a Child. I don't even throw them in the wash. This was a Victoria's Secret PJ top or dress or nightgown or something, but it was totally ruined, so had to leave that behind. Here's a girl's Justice jumpsuit. I have noticed that Once Upon a Child usually rejects my Justice pieces, but I was in there last night to pick up my cash and kind of just looked around and saw they do take Justice, so I don't know what's up with that, but I left that piece behind because they don't usually buy Justice from me. I found that single UGG by the checkout, and that was disappointing that it was just a single there. I never saw the mate even in the shoe bins. And I also found a hard good Starbucks cup on my way to the cash register, so I will probably list that. I don't know what comps are for it, but I will always take Starbucks pieces in the bins, except, you know, those little plastic cups that cost like $10 for the set of 4. Here are my 2 carts packed full of stuff, and I think I spent about $150 for everything this day. I did not practice self-control, so I'm currently going to get my car to pull it over in front of the building so that I can load it up. And I still have to go to Once Upon a Child and get my stuff. I just lost it. When the shoes come out, I can't. Guys, there's a car here with a Mexico license plate. Someone drove all the way here, potentially, probably not, but maybe to shop at the bins. I don't know why you would come to Romeoville, Illinois, though. Right, I'm done at the bins, and I just looked at some text on my phone, and Olive's tether, we don't have a fence in yard, so she has like a 60-foot lead. It broke, and my neighbors bring her home, and my dad, he puts her outside and doesn't supervise her. When I have her outside, I check on her my dad will just leave her. He literally will fall asleep on the couch with her out in the backyard, and it is currently winter. I don't think, hopefully he'd do that in winter, but it's so really frustrating. Like, she needs to be supervised. Anyway, she's home, luckily, thank God. I don't know what I would do if I'm a half hour away from home. I mean, obviously I'd speed home, but that would be a mess. I'd be so frustrated and sad until we found her. Can't wait till I live alone and I don't have to worry about my dad losing my dog. Alrighty, so now I am on my way to Once Upon a Child to hopefully get $50 to $70 of cash and go home and give my dog kisses and thank her for not running away. So I just picked up my stuff from Once Upon a Child, and they gave me $79.53, which is the $80 I was hoping for, and I still have 2 bins that are basically full. I would just love for them to take everything and give me $80. Like, there's a bin here, my car's full in the trunk, so in a bin there, like, they look full, they look like they didn't take anything. But I mean, they filled up 2 of their own blue totes, so I'm glad, I'm sure they're happy to have all the stuff they took. And I've never gotten more than $80 from them. So every time I go, I always take them back, the rejects, and they always end up buying rejects from the last time. But I've never gotten more than $80. It's just so funny. They must like have a limit for paying people out. I don't know. But every time I hit like $80. So that was my go to Once Upon a Child / go to the bins with me. I did not exercise self-control. It was not a New Year's resolution, but I'd like to think I'm an adult who can do that. Today I did not prove that. So I just won't be allowed to go to the bins for like the whole month of February, which is good because that's a short month. So if you're trying to achieve a goal this year, do it in the month of February because it's the shortest month of the year. That is my advice, and that is all from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another video soon. Goodbye. Olive made it home safe. Yes. Don't run away again.